the first shots fired in the 45.
Some shiny things can tell more stories than others. Some are just that, and a sword without provenance is, to the most part, only a sword. But some retain their stories, and there's certainly a couple of swords here with the stories behind them. And it's something that I'm very happy to do for you today, because I love telling stories. If folk want me to speak for an hour, they'll ask me to talk for 5 minutes. So I'm more than happy to give you a wee story or two here. As you've probably already seen, the West Highland Museum is home to some legendary Jacobite treasures. And a lot of those arms with great legends as to who owned them originally. I love, getting involved with this in terms of bringing legends alive that way as well. My own work is that I make custom swords and knives. I teach traditional swordsmanship. We'll not be swinging them about here today, don't we?
Step outside.
I think that was a challenge. But not a problem. In terms of getting hands on with the history that way, it's something I love to and share it that way too. And do a wee bit of traditional storytelling here and there with it, which is always a joy. So 3 days before the standard was raised, it already kicked off. And it kicked off at Highbridge, up the road near Spean Bridge, the big high bridge over the River Spean. And it was there that, word had already reached the troops at the fort that the clans were gathering. So they felt a little bit understaffed, shall we say. And they sent for reinforcements from Fort Augustus. And so they sent for a couple of companies, 85 men by foot that travelled, old wage military road, down under command of a Captain Scott who rode a white horse. And as they came down that road, word of their approach reached Lochaber before they did, because word still spreads quick in these parts. And it reached the MacDonalds of Keppoch first, and the MacDonalds of Keppoch were there, and it was MacDonald of Turandreich who commanded 12 MacDonalds, and hastily gathered as many firearms as they had between muskets and pistols, and they raced to Highbridge, which was the perfect spot for an ambush. Absolutely perfect. On the south side, tucked themselves in behind trees. There was an inn there for hard cover at the same time. And as you approach the old military road from the north, you almost don't see the bridge till you're on it. You take a sharp 90-degree turn, and then you've got a cliff face by your back that's at least as high as this room. And so, if you catch the troops halfway across that bridge, you fire. They're not going to advance into unknown numbers of contact, can't go left or right. They've all got to then bunch up, and then you've got a pretty red seething mass, and you just fire into that, you're going to hit something. So that was a tactic, and it was a simple one, but it was a good one that worked. 12 men-at-arms and a piper. And as soon as the first shots are fired, the piper's striking up, and the men are running about from tree to tree, making it look and sound as though they're a far bigger force. Against 85 redcoats. And it worked. They called for a halt. They sent over a sergeant and a servant to talk terms. The Jacobites took them, said, "Have you got any more?" They weren't for talking. And the redcoats were forced to retreat. They retreated along the road, but there's no crossing point across that River Spean, a wide gorge, for some miles. And so what had happened was the MacDonalds of Glengarry heard it kicked off and wanted a piece of the action too, so they came swarming down. The redcoats are surrounded. They're obliged to surrender. There was a few killed, there was a few more wounded of the redcoats, no Jacobite casualties. And the wounded were taken to Achnacarry House, Lochiel's house, where it was there they earned the name Gentle Lochiel, making sure the prisoners of war were attended to and looked after. Captain Scott, who rode the horse, was also one of the wounded. And his white horse was taken by Donald MacDonald. And he took that white horse and he rode that horse out with the Cameron men to Glenfinnan. And as well as that, they took about a dozen of those redcoats, prisoners, disarmed of course, but they put them on display at Glenfinnan. Red-faced, red coats, on display to say it's already kicked off and we've got the upper hand. As if the morale wasn't through the roof anyway with the prince in presence. And that white horse that Donald MacDonald took, he realised the prince didn't have a horse. And so he gifted that horse to the prince. And that was the prince's war horse all the way through to Culloden. And he called that horse Tyrantreach. So, and if you happen to pass by the Glenspian Brewing Company, he's got to be good with his commissions today, isn't he? So they have a Highbridge IPA, and Pepys has honoured that story and that history by having a white horse on the front and telling a wee bit about the story.
I've got some of that at home.
So aye, that's why it's got a white horse on it. That was the horse of Captain Scott, and that was the prince's horse in the end. So anyway, in going there, I knew it was a concentrated area of fire, and right enough, the first shots fired in the 45 Rising.
Oh.
And the calibers of these correspond with French, but mostly Spanish arms. So there was a few thousand, I think, Spanish arms
Very cool.
in 1750, and more in 1790.
We've had helmet.
And it's what the Jacobites had. The 1750. We hadn't had the chance to cast lead spheres, and most of them you can see are impacted.
Because they're heavy.
So, Paul, we've got two upstairs that are on loan from you as
Yes,
well. And
that's right.
is this from the same sort of...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not...
So they're mostly musket balls, and you can see a smaller one, it's pistol. It's pistol caliber. So yeah, it's quite exciting to bring out of the ground something that you can identify to a particular day in history, and know that the last person that saw it was a MacDonald of Keppoch as he loaded it in his barrel and aimed at some poor wee redcoat's head.